Have you ever stared at an engine bay wondering if you'll be able to find parts 5, 10, or even 20 years from now? Or maybe you're planning a build and want to know which engines have the deepest wells of aftermarket support before you commit. Well, today we're counting down the 10 engines with the most extensive aftermarket ecosystems on the planet. These are the motors where finding performance parts is easier than finding excuses to buy them. Whether you're building a street machine, a track weapon, or just want reliability upgrades, these engines have communities and companies that have been developing parts for decades. Let's dive in. Number 10. Volkswagen and Audi, 1.8T and 2.0T, the EA113 and EA888. Turbo 4-cylinders have become the Swiss Army knives of the compact performance world. Starting back in the late 90s, these engines appeared in everything from Golf GTIs to Audi TTs to Passats. And that widespread use created something special, a parts ecosystem so deep you can literally build one from scratch using aftermarket components. The thing is, Volkswagen kept evolving these engines for over 2 decades, but they maintained enough similarities that many parts interchange. You've got companies like APR, Unitronic, and Integrated Engineering offering everything from simple software tunes to complete big turbo kits. Want to make 300 horsepower? There's a kit for that. 400? No problem. 500 plus? They've got you covered with forged internals, upgraded fuel systems, and standalone engine management. The beauty of these engines is their accessibility. You can start with a $50 diverter valve upgrade and work your way up to a $10,000 built motor. There are literally hundreds of turbo options. K04 upgrades for the budget-minded. GT28 turbos for serious power. Even hybrid turbos that look stock but flow like race units. The fueling solutions range from simple injector upgrades to complete return-style fuel systems with ethanol compatibility. And here's what really sets these apart. The software support. These engines have been cracked wide open. You can flash tunes at home. You can run piggyback systems. You can go full standalone. The community has documented every sensor, every table, every parameter. There are forums with 20 years of build threads, dyno sheets, and troubleshooting guides. The transmission options are equally deep. Whether you're running the stock DSG dual clutch, a manual, or even doing a rear-wheel drive swap, someone makes a kit for it. Clutch options range from slightly upgraded daily drivers to twin-disc race units. The cooling solutions include everything from simple intercooler upgrades to complete water methanol injection systems. Even maintenance parts have endless options. Coil packs from 6 different manufacturers. Catch can systems to prevent carbon buildup, upgraded PCV systems, silicone hose kits in every color imaginable. You could build 2 identical cars and not share a single aftermarket part between them. That's how deep this rabbit hole goes. Number 9. Nissan RB26DETT. The Skyline GTR's twin-turbo straight-six might be the most internationally supported Japanese engine ever made. And it earned that status the hard way, through decades of development by tuners from Japan to Australia to Europe to America. This engine has been pushed to over 2,000 horsepower. It's been swapped into everything from Silvias to Patrols, and every failure point has been addressed with bulletproof aftermarket solutions, HKS, Trust, Tomei, Nismo. These aren't just parts companies, they're institutions that have been developing RB parts since the engine was new. You want stroker kits? They make them in 2.7, 2.8, and 3-liter configurations. Turbo options? Everything from stock location upgrades to massive single conversions. The cylinder head development alone is staggering. Ported heads, billet heads. Complete valve train upgrades with solid lifters for 10,000 RPM operation. The thing about RB aftermarket support is its global nature. Australian shops like Full Race and Croydon Racing Developments pioneered affordable stroker kits. Japanese tuners perfected the response-focused twin-turbo setups. American shops figured out how to make 2,000 horsepower reliably. And all this knowledge gets shared across continents through forums, social media, and build threads. Gearbox support is equally impressive. The stock Getrag unit can be built to handle 1,000 horsepower, or you can swap in a sequential, or adapt a T56, or go completely crazy with a Hollinger straight-cut race box. Every possible combination has been done, documented, and refined. Differential options range from upgraded stock units to complete quick-change rear ends from NASCAR. The engine management solutions are endless. Link, Haltech, Motec, AEM. Every major standalone manufacturer has specific support for the RB. Base maps are readily available. Tuners worldwide know these engines inside and out. You can get remote tuning, flex fuel setups, traction control integration, the works. Even aesthetic parts have deep support. Cam covers in every finish imaginable, coil pack conversions to modernize the ignition, carbon fiber timing, belt covers. Billet oil caps. You can make an RB look like it came from any era you want. From period-correct 90s JDM to modern show car. The parts exist. Number 8. Cummins 5.9 12 valve. This might seem like an odd choice for a performance list, but the 12-valve Cummins has one of the deepest aftermarket supports of any engine, period. We're talking about a motor that powers everything from farm equipment to marine applications to drag racing trucks making 3,000 horsepower. The parts availability is absolutely staggering. Industrial injection, ATS, BD diesel, fleece performance, these companies don't just make parts. They engineer complete ecosystems for these engines. Want to make 500 horsepower reliably for towing? There's a recipe for that. 1,000 horsepower for the drag strip, multiple paths to get there, 2,000 plus. It's been done hundreds of times with well-documented combinations. The beauty of the 12-valve is its mechanical simplicity. No computers, no complications, just pure mechanical diesel power. And that simplicity means everything can be upgraded. Injection pumps from stock P7-100s to massive P pumps to 14mm units flowing enough fuel for 4-digit power. Injectors from mild delivery valves to massive 5x18 units. Turbos from simple HX35 upgrades to compound setups with atmosphere chargers bigger than watermelons. The bottom-end support is incredible. Girdles to prevent block flex, billet main caps, O-ringed heads to contain 60-plus pounds of boost, fire rings for even more, aftermarket rods that can handle 200 pounds of cylinder pressure, pistons designed for nitrous, propane, or water methanol injection. These engines have been pushed so hard that companies now make billet blocks, complete billet blocks. Think about that level of commitment. Transmission support behind these engines is equally deep. The 47RE, 47RH, and 48RE automatics all have complete rebuild kits, billet shafts, and upgraded valve bodies. Or you can go NV4500, NV5600, G56 manual, or swap in an Allison, or run a Lenco. Every combination has been tried, tested, and perfected. The fuel system support goes beyond just injection pumps, lift pumps from AirDog, FAS, and others, complete fuel systems with massive lines and fittings, dual CP3 conversions for common rail swaps, water methanol injection kits specifically designed for diesel applications, even fuel additives designed specifically for performance 12-valve applications. Number 7. GM Duramax 6.6 diesel. The Duramax might be the most extensively supported modern diesel ever made. From the original LB7 to the current L5P, these engines have aftermarket solutions for everything. And we mean everything. Emissions-compliant upgrades for tow rigs, full deletion kits for race trucks, and everything in between. Companies like PPEI, Calibrated Power, and S&S Diesel have turned Duramax tuning into an art form. The early LB7 and LOI engines can make 600 horsepower with just tuning and basic bolt-ons. The later LBZ and LMM engines can push 800 with similar mods. And the newest engines? They're making 4-digit power with upgraded turbos and fuel systems. The CP3 injection pump modifications alone are incredible. Stroker pumps, dual pump kits, 10mm pumps for extreme applications. The injector options range from mild 45% over units to massive 300% over competition injectors. And unlike the old days, these parts are reliable. People are daily driving 700 horsepower Duramaxes with 200,000 miles on them. The turbocharger development has been fascinating to watch. The stock variable geometry turbos can be modified with different wheels and housings. Or you can go single fixed geometry, or compounds, or even triple turbo setups for pulling competitions. Wastegated, non-wastegated, journal bearing, ball bearing. Every configuration imaginable is available off the shelf. The Allison transmission behind these engines has equally deep support. Mike L. Suncoast, PPE. These companies offer everything from basic shift kits to complete race builds capable of handling 2,000 horsepower. Billet shafts, upgraded clutches, modified valve bodies, standalone controllers. You can build an Allison that shifts like a Powerglide but holds like a Lenco. Even the hard parts have extensive aftermarket support. Billet valve covers, fabricated intake manifolds, aftermarket Y-bridges, upgraded cooling systems. The LML and newer engines have complete emissions-compliant upgrades, DPF back exhausts, upgraded intercoolers, legal tuning options. You can add 200 horsepower and stay 50 state legal. Number 6. Ford Coyote 5.0. The Coyote might be the newest engine on this list, but it's already developed one of the deepest aftermarket supports in the industry. Ford's dual overhead cam 5-liter has become the go-to swap for everything from classic Mustangs to street rods to Miatas. And the parts support reflects that versatility. Ford Performance kicked things off right by offering the engine as a crate motor with control packs. But the aftermarket took it from there. Roush, VMP, Lund Racing, Palm Beach Dyno. These companies have pushed Coyotes past the 1,000 horsepower mark with pump gas and boost. The naturally aspirated builds are hitting 800 horsepower. And the direct injection Gen 3 engines are just beginning to show their potential. The forced induction options are staggering. Centrifugal superchargers from ProCharger, Vortec, and Paxton. Positive displacement blowers from Whipple, Roush, and VMP. Twin turbo kits from Helion, On3, and UPR. Even factory Ford Performance supercharger kits with warranties. You can literally pick your power level and find a kit to match. The cylinder head development happened faster than any engine in history. CNC-ported heads were available within 2 years of release. Now you've got complete billet heads, different cam profiles for every application, upgraded valve train components for 8,000 RPM operation. The Coyote went from stock to race-ready faster than anything before it. The swap market drove massive parts development, control packs to run the engine standalone, swap headers for every chassis imaginable, oil pan options for different cross members, accessory drives for different configurations. You can put a Coyote in literally anything and someone makes a kit for it. Fox body? Check. Classic Bronco? Check. Freaking Miata? Yeah, there's a kit for that too. The tuning support is exceptional. HP Tuners, SCT, Diablo Sport, Cobb. Everyone supports the Coyote, and the strategies are well understood. You can tune for economy, power, or anything in between. The direct injection Gen 3 engines added complexity, but the aftermarket adapted immediately. Port injection upgrades, ethanol sensor integration, boost control strategies, it's all there. Number 5. Chevy LS Series. The LS changed everything. When GM introduced this engine family in 1997, they probably didn't realize they were creating the most swapped engine platform in history. From the original LS1 to the monster LS7, from truck engines like the LQ4 to the supercharged LSA, this family has the deepest, most diverse aftermarket support imaginable. Texas Speed, Brian Tooley Racing, Comp Cams, TrickFlow. These companies have turned LS modification into a science. You want a mild cam for a daily driver? There are dozens of options. A radical cam for a drag car, even more choices. The cylinder head options are endless. Stock heads, ported heads, aftermarket aluminum heads, CNC ported race heads. You can build anything from a 300 horsepower cruiser to a 2,000 horsepower drag motor using off-the-shelf parts. The swap industry around the LS is absolutely massive. Holley, Hooker, ICT Billet, Dirty Dingo. These companies make swap kits for everything, and I mean everything. LS swapped Miatas, BMWs, Porsches, Jeeps, boats, airplanes. If it had an engine, someone's put an LS in it, and there's probably a kit for it. Oil pans for every chassis, headers for every configuration, wiring harnesses simplified to 4 wires. Accessory drives for every possible setup. The forced induction support is incredible. Turbo kits that bolt on in a weekend. Supercharger kits with factory-quality fit and finish. The Chinese turbo invasion made 1,000-horsepower builds accessible to regular people. You can build a turbo LS for less than the cost of building a naturally aspirated big block. And it'll make more power, more reliably. Here's what really sets the LS apart. The knowledge base. Every combination has been tried, every failure point documented, every upgrade path mapped out. Want to know if a 4.8 truck engine can handle boost? Thousands of people have done it. Curious about cathedral versus rectangle port heads? There are hundreds of dyno comparisons. The community has answered every question you could possibly have. The electronic support is unmatched. Stock ECUs can be tuned, standalone systems from every manufacturer, plug-and-play harnesses, drive-by-wire conversions. You can run an LS with a carburetor if you want, or full sequential injection with individual cylinder tuning. The flexibility is absolute. Number 4. Honda K-Series. The K-Series might be the most thoroughly developed 4-cylinder platform ever created. When Honda introduced the K20 in 2001, they created a monster, an engine that would dominate everything from drag racing to time attack to street builds. The aftermarket support is so deep that you can build a complete K-Series using 0 Honda parts. Hasport, K-Tuned, Hybrid Racing, Skunk 2. These companies have been developing K-Series parts for over 2 decades, and it shows. Motor mounts for every chassis swap imaginable, intake manifolds for every application, exhaust manifolds and headers in every configuration. The variety is staggering. You can build 2 identical power K-Series engines that share literally no aftermarket parts. The cylinder head development is incredible. Ported heads flowing enough for 500 naturally aspirated horsepower, upgraded valve train for 10,000 RPM operation, cam options from mild street grinds to full race profiles. And here's the beautiful part. The K20 and K24 share so much that parts development benefits both. You can mix and match components to create exactly what you need. The forced induction scene is absolutely mental. Supercharger kits that bolt on in hours, turbo kits ranging from 200 to over 1,000 horsepower. The casting quality of aftermarket manifolds rivals OEM, and the tune support means you can run pump gas, E85, race fuel, or methanol. Whatever you want, there's a solution. The transmission options are extensive. Factory boxes can be upgraded with carbon synchros and final drives. Sequential conversions for race applications. Adapter plates for rear-wheel drive conversions. Even all-wheel drive setups using CRV components. The K-Series has been adapted to every possible drivetrain configuration. What really impresses is the completeness of the ecosystem. oil pans for every swap, cooling solutions from tucked radiators to half-size units, fuel systems from basic upgrades to complete return systems, engine management from reflashes to full Motec setups, air conditioning and power steering solutions for swaps. They've thought of everything. Number 3. Toyota 2JZ GTE. The 2JZ might have the most global aftermarket support of any engine ever made. From Japan to Australia to Europe to America, companies worldwide have been developing parts for this legendary straight six for 30 years. And it shows. The parts catalog is so deep you could build 10 different 1,000-horsepower engines without repeating a single component. HKS, Greddy, Titan, Sound Performance. These aren't just parts suppliers, they're institutions. HKS has been building 2JZ parts since the engine was new. Their catalog alone could support an entire racing series. Turbo kits, stroker kits, cam options, valve train upgrades, complete long blocks. They offer everything. The turbo options are endless. Want to keep the sequential twins? There are upgraded options, single turbo. Everything from GT35s to massive GT55s. Quick spool setups with precision turbos, old-school T4 builds, modern EFR setups. The manifold options alone number in the hundreds. Top mount, bottom mount, forward-facing, reverse rotation. Every possible configuration exists. The bottom end support is legendary. The stock bottom end holds 800 horsepower. But if you want more, the options are endless. Stroker kits taking displacement to 3.4 liters. Billet mains for extreme applications. Dry sump systems for road racing. The 2JZ has been built for every form of motorsport, and parts exist for all of them. The transmission solutions are equally impressive. The Getrag 6-speed can be built to handle 1,500 horsepower. The R154 can be upgraded with triple-disc clutches. T56 conversions are common, power glide adapters for drag racing, sequential conversions for circuit racing. Even dual clutch conversions are being developed. Here's what's really impressive. The 2JZ ecosystem is still growing. New companies are still entering the market. New solutions are still being developed. CNC technology has made custom parts accessible. 3D printing is enabling rapid prototyping. The 2JZ aftermarket isn't just deep, it's still getting deeper. Number 2, Ford Small Block, V8. The Windsor might be the most extensively supported engine in history. We're talking about 7 decades of continuous development, from the original 221 in 1962 to the last Windsor-based engines in the 2000s. The aftermarket support isn't just deep, it's oceanic. Edelbrock, Holley, Trickflow, AFR. These companies have been making Windsor parts for generations, literally generations. Cylinder heads that flow more than most people thought possible. Intake manifolds for every application imaginable. Cam profiles numbering in the thousands. The variety is staggering. You could build 100 different 300 horsepower engines, or 100 different 500 horsepower engines. The combinations are literally infinite. The displacement options are incredible. Bore it, stroke it, both. 331, 347, 363, 393, 427, and those are just the common ones. The rotating assembly options from Scat, Eagle, and Callies mean you can build anything from a high-revving screamer to a torque monster stroker. The induction options span every technology, carburetors from every manufacturer, throttle body injection, port injection, direct port nitrous, centrifugal superchargers, roots blowers, twin turbos. You can build a Windsor with any induction system ever invented, and someone makes a kit for it. The knowledge base is unmatched. Every magazine has covered these engines. Every forum has thousands of build threads. Every combination has been dyno tested. Want to know if those heads will work with that cam? Someone's already tried it. Curious about that intake manifold? There are dyno sheets. The community has 7 decades of accumulated knowledge. Here's what's remarkable. New parts are still being developed. Better flowing heads using modern CFD, lighter rotating assemblies using better materials, more efficient induction systems. The Windsor isn't just supported by legacy parts, it's still receiving cutting-edge development. Number 1. Chevy Small Block 5.8, Gen 1 through 4. This is it, the king. The most extensively supported engine platform in human history, from the original 265 in 1955 to the last Gen 1 small blocks in the 2000s. From the LT1 to the LS-based Gen 3 and 4. We're talking about 70 years of continuous development by hundreds of companies serving millions of enthusiasts. The parts availability is beyond comprehension. Dart, Brodix, World Products, and others make complete aftermarket blocks. You can build a small block Chevy without a single GM part. Cylinder heads? There are literally thousands of options. Iron, aluminum, different port shapes, different chamber designs. Heads for 300 horsepower, heads for 1,300 horsepower, and everything in between. The rotating assembly options are infinite. Forged, cast, billet. Stroke lengths from 3 inches to 4 1/4. Bore sizes from 4 inches to 4.185. You can build anything from a 283 to a 454. The rod length options alone could fill a catalog. 6-inch, 6.125, 6.2, 6.3. Every possible combination exists. The induction system variety defies description. Carburetors from Holley, Edelbrock, Demon, Quick Fuel. Throttle body systems, port injection, Hilburn mechanical injection. Every supercharger ever made has a small block kit. Turbo systems from mild to wild. The intake manifold options number in the thousands. Single plane, dual plane, tunnel ram, cross ram, individual runner. If you can imagine it, someone makes it. The camshaft selection is absolutely staggering. Comp, Lunati, Isky, Crane, Howards. These companies offer hundreds of profiles each. Flat tappet, roller, solid, hydraulic. Cams for idle quality, cams for peak power, cams for torque, cams that sound nasty. The selection is so vast that companies offer custom grinding services because even with thousands of options, someone always wants something different. But here's what truly sets the small block Chevy apart. It's not just the parts availability, it's the ecosystem. Every machine shop knows these engines. Every speed shop stocks parts. Every car show has vendors. Every junkyard has cores. The infrastructure supporting these engines is so vast, so complete, that you could build one blindfolded and still end up with something that runs. And there you have it. That's 10 engines with the deepest aftermarket parts support in automotive history. Each one represents not just mechanical excellence, but entire communities of enthusiasts, engineers, and companies dedicated to pushing boundaries. Whether you're building for power, reliability, or just want endless options, these engines deliver. Got an engine we missed? Think something else deserves a spot? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into aftermarket mayhem, hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss our next countdown. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.